Welcome everyone to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. This week is the portion of Bemidbar, which is in our Zohar volume 17, and we are at verse 41. The name of the article is "Into Your Hand I Commit My Spirit." So let's invite in the our teachers, the Rav and Karen Michael, Rabbi Schlag, Rabbi Brandwein, the Ria Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Terfon, Rabbi Mazulai, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolon, Rabbi Shapira Piasetzna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and all of the students, Rabbi Mordechai of Chernobyl, one soul with Yosef Tzaddik, Joseph the Righteous in Shechem. This week, actually, on Wednesday, was the anniversary elevation of the Ramchal, Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the 18th century Italian Kabbalist. We always invite him in, but this week actually was his anniversary elevation. And today we have a special guest, and that would be Shmuel, Samuel the prophet, Shmuel Hanavi, which turns out I read, he wrote Megillat Ruth. He wrote the story of Ruth, in addition to writing Shmuel Aleph and Bet, Samuel 1 and 2 of the books of prophets. Although I think technically he was one of the judges. So within the books of prophets, there's a section of judges and the section of prophets, different books at different levels. But he, so we have his assistants today. That's his assistants. As a prophet, we have the energy of prophecy assisting us. So with all that, who knows what's going to happen? Let's have a consciousness as we connect to these verses. Wherever we are, it's one world, we're connecting to one world, and we're sending to our world and the world around us the energy of healing. So everyone we know who needs healing, we should have them in mind and send them energy of healing. Those we know whose souls have recently elevated, we want to send them energy of comfort on their journey. Also, we want to connect to the energy of ahavat chinam, unconditional love, and sharing that with the world. The energy of treating everyone with human decency, the energy of immortality, and also the energy of removal of chaos for us in our lives and in our world, the removal of negativity, protection from evil eye and evil speech, and also a heightened consciousness so we ourselves don't engage in those very destructive consciousnesses also. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's enough of an introduction. Again, it's Bemidbar, this week's portion, which will be read tomorrow morning. Bemidbar literally means in the desert. It's the fourth book of the 5 books of Moses. So what does it mean to be in the desert? Well, think about it for a second. Like, I've never been in the desert, so how do I know? But I have a perception of what it's like to be in a desert, probably mostly shaped by Hollywood, but what do we know about a desert? It's barren. There's nothing there. Nothing's growing there. And in many respects, sages and Kabbalists for over the generations have gone to the desert to try and go within, to try and remove all those distractions that our world provides so they can connect more deeply. So the paradox is, in a place where there's less, you can actually develop more. So that's something to think about, not historically, in terms of our lives and today, what's going on. And with that, we'll dive in. Anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? All right, David, thank you. You got it. We're at verse 41.
Okay.
All right, starting with the Aramaic. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Kativ biyadcha afkid ruchi, Hadita oti Hashem kel emet. Haikra it leilis taklabe, Hamitun mand afkid, bida de malka midi. Ela vadai saka'ahu barnash, the azil orchoi de malka kadisha. Lachate kameta chaze, kevan de al lelia, ilana de mota, shalit be'alma. Ilana de chaye istalak le'ela, le'ela. The kevan de ilana de mota shalit be'alma bil chodoi, Kobane alma tamin tamad de mota. My tama begin tahu ilana garim. Okay, David, go slowly. 41.
41. That's why I thought it looked weird. I was looking at 40 here. Okay. Rabbi Elazar said, it is written, into your hand I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, Hashem, El of truth.
Okay, so that is a verse from Psalms, the 31st chapter of Psalms. In Hebrew, we say Tehillim. And the interesting thing that I noticed when I first looked at this, and I don't think I looked at this before this week, but the first words, into your hands I commit my spirit, is biyadcha avkid ruchi. So any of us who are familiar with the prayer Adon Olam, it's actually in our morning connection. But for those who have gone to synagogue their whole lives, it's actually what the Saturday morning service is closed out with, Adon Olam. And in that song, we sing it usually, is biyado avkid ruchi. It's the same words with a little slightly different, but that's the title of this verse. Into your hand I commit my spirit. What does that mean? What does it mean? Into your hand I commit my spirit. By the way, the prayer Adon Olam is the first two words of that prayer, has the same numerical value as Ein Sof, the endless. So like I always thought it was just like a little kid's tune. It's something the kids sang at the end of services. And that's the way it really showed up. I didn't know anyone never explained to me the significance of it. It's connecting to the endless world. So as Rav Ashlag has been quoted saying, if you want to know what's most important, look at the things that get ignored by people. Let's continue. So that's the verse. Keep going, David.
This verse must be examined.
I just want to say, like, okay, I get it, this verse must be examined, but every single Zohar we read, pretty much, is either telling a story or examining a verse. Why would this verse need to be examined? And why is that line there, but it's not anywhere else? Anyone want to take a guess at why that might be? Well, let's table it. Let's see if we can come up with a reason why that is. But it does stand out because we're examining every verse that comes up is being examined. That's the whole point. And the Zohar isn't throwing in extra thoughts. It's not like a toss away line. It doesn't work that way. So there must be something really significant about this. Okay, keep going.
Have you ever seen someone who would deposit something in the hands of the king, who is the Holy One, blessed be he?
Okay, wait, stop right there. So, what's a deposit? Okay, so this is the dumb example I've come up with. I'm going to go for a swim in the ocean. I hand you my cell phone. Please hold on to this. I'm going to go into the water. I've deposited my cell phone with you, with the expectation when I come out of the water, you'll give me my phone back.
It's
Right?
a guarantee. It's a guarantee.
It's a guarantee. A guarantor. I give you the phone. You're essentially my guarantor.
Right.
Right? We needed a banker to tell us that. Would be with the safety deposit box, right? In the bank, another bank situation, I put some kind of valuables in the safety deposit box so they're kept safe with the expectation that when I come back, the bank will let me go in there and get my stuff. The bank's the guarantor of what I have deposited. Okay? That's the transaction in general. In the physical realm, what does it mean I deposit my soul? And the Zohar is saying, I mean, have you ever seen anyone deposit their soul? So what is this word? What does this verse mean? Let's continue.
And he replies, therefore, most certainly, happy is the man that follows the ways of the Holy King and does not sin before him.
It says reply, but it looks like a non-responsive answer, doesn't it?
Right.
Mhm.
It's non-responsive. It's like, who sees that? Who's ever seen that? And the reply is, happy is the man. So what does that mean in this context? Happy is the man that follows the ways of the Holy King and does not sin before him. What does it mean to be happy? Well, I can be happy that Denver beat the Lakers last night. That'd be one format. I'm happy. My team, they're not my team, but let's say the Nuggets were my team. I'm happy when my team wins. I can be happy when if I win the lottery. I can be happy if someone's nice to me, especially when they weren't nice before. I mean, there's a lot of things that make us happy. Happy, I made I baked a cake. It turned out great. I'd be happy about that. But this is happiness based on externals. My happiness rising and falling with what's going on in the world. What other kind of happiness is there? Well, there's internal happiness. I decide I'm going to be happy. I can decide that. Maybe it's not so easy. Maybe it's not, it may not be so easy to decide that. But I definitely have the ability to have a consciousness around the fact that I want my happiness to be something I determine, not based on externals. And so one of the things we're getting right away from this section, from that verse, is an awareness, is a consciousness of internal happiness, and making a distinction between the external things that make me happy, which they do. I am happy the Lakers lost. I don't know why. It's a whole other discussion. There are externals that make me happy, but I want to be unconditionally happy, and that comes from within. Now, I realize how easy that is to say. I understand that. It's easy to say. It's quite another thing to execute. But we want our consciousness to have even a chance at unconditional happiness. We want to have an awareness that that exists and that it's available for us. And we want to have much less emphasis on relying on external happiness. We want the external happiness. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to buy the new shirt and I'm going to feel good about it. We want the externals are fine. We're in this world. We're dealing with the externals. That's fine. But I don't want that taking the place of my internal happiness. And sometimes my teacher once said to me, go do some shopping. I was like, what? Yeah, you go buy something for yourself. He was telling me I needed to really, kind of kickstart things with some external happiness. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay to do things that give us external, that we're getting happiness from an external place. But understand that we want to be in a place where it's internal happiness that drives us. We have that too. And that distinction is really important. And so what the Zohar is saying is, when you know that you are fulfilling your soul's purpose, you got to be happy. That's internal happiness. That's what the Zohar is saying here. It hasn't told us yet what to do to fulfill a spiritual purpose. That's coming next. But when you have aligned yourself with your soul's purpose, that's internal happiness. No matter what's going on around you, hey, I know I'm fulfilling what I came here for. And that's a very concrete example. Well, I don't know if it's concrete, but it's a very specific example of one of the places where internal happiness comes from. So in order for me to do that, I need to align myself with my soul's purpose. Well, to align myself with my soul's purpose, I need to figure out what my soul's purpose is. So we're getting an extra dose of that right here, of an ability to see deeper into why we're here, what our soul's purpose is, and to align ourselves with our soul's purpose so that we can be happy on our journey. I always find it interesting that when you're doing some kind of menial work, like, painting a room, not a lot to think about. You got to mix the paint. You know, you probably want to put tape up and throw a tarp down. But if you're just painting, like it's like not a complicated day. I am aligned with the purpose of painting my room today. Kick back, enjoy it. There's nothing else you can do. You're just painting. It's like, you know, there's joy in that. I mean, for me, it lasts about 10 minutes, but there's joy in that. Like there's simple joy in doing simple things where, you know you're doing a good job. You're aligned with a very limited purpose, painting the room. Or, you know, buying groceries. Those are simple things that you must do. So I'm going to extrapolate that out to, I'm using the example of painting your room or buying groceries and extrapolate that out to why exactly is your soul here? Not to paint the room and do groceries and buy groceries. No, much more important things. But to the degree we can identify what those things are, we connect to unconditional happiness. By the way, I'm going to master an obvious point. One of the reasons why your soul came here was to study Zohar. You wouldn't be here studying it if that wasn't part of your journey. If that wasn't on the to-do list for your soul's work in this realm. And we don't always merit to do that. And the world is depending on it because not everybody has the opportunity or the merit to study Zohar. So if you are on the path and you're studying Zohar, if you're on your soul's journey, you're studying Zohar, it's really, the world is counting on that. You study the Zohar is channeling a level of positive energy that almost nothing else can do. What about the United Nations? Don't they channel? No, you're channeling more energy, positive energy right now than the United Nations does. It doesn't look that way, right? It doesn't, because we're operating beyond the 1%. Okay, let's continue. David. Uh-oh, did I lose him? Where'd he go?
Oh. What?
Hey, Ron, jump in until he comes
I'll
back.
jump in. Okay.
All right.
Therefore, most certainly, I think this is where we're at.
Yeah,
Therefore, most
okay. Again, it's okay. It's important.
happy is the man that follows the ways of the Holy King and does not sin before him.
Right. And by sin, we don't mean upsetting the Creator. You're not going to upset the Creator. There's nothing you can do to upset the Creator. That's an anthropomorphism. The Creator got angry. He doesn't get angry. She does not get angry. That's just a projection of a human emotion so we can understand what's going on. But you're not making him angry. So when you sin, it's just a matter, what does it mean, sin in this context? It's us kind of falling off the path. We're here on a journey. It's a delicate transaction here for us and our souls. We will stumble and we will fall. It's part of the journey. That's what the sin is. Sin comes from the Hebrew word chet. Chet literally means hitting the target. We're going to miss the target. That's going to happen. Everybody misses the target at some point. Okay, keep going.
Come and behold, as soon as night falls, the tree of death rules in the world, and the tree of life disappears high above.
Okay, so we're getting a little deeper here. On this journey, and this is really going to what it means to deposit your soul in the hands of the Creator. We have to understand that there are times where positivity reigns, and there are times when negativity reigns. If you step outside and you see a riot going on, go back in. You could be the most protected person on the planet. Do not walk out into traffic. We don't do that. There's times where there's negative entities, negative energy, that we need to avoid that. Do not tempt negativity. Kabbalistically, we don't do that. We want to steer very wide and clear from any negativity. The challenge we have is knowing when I give the example I give you, step outside and there's a riot going out in front of your house or apartment, whatever, go back inside. That's an easy one. We don't always merit to see when there's positivity and when there's negativity. By the way, one of the prayers that we say in the morning, literally means, Creator, please give me the opportunity to see the difference between day and night. And what our teachers tell us is, all right, literally day and night. Who doesn't see that? Well, there are people that don't, but you can be in situations where you don't see that. But that's not what it's about. It's about giving us the opportunity to distinguish between positive energy and negative energy. Ego needs, ego desires, desire to receive for the self alone versus desire to receive for the sake of sharing. We want to be able to see that. And so that's one of the points that Zohar is making here. Go ahead. David's back. Ron, you okay? David, welcome back. We just read the line, the tree.
Thank you.
Yeah, the tree of death rules in the world. As soon as night falls, the tree of death rules in the world and the tree of life disappears. So pick it up from there.
All right. Then the tree of death is the sole ruler in the universe, and all inhabitants of the world taste death. Since sleep is 1/60th portion of death.
Okay, so unless you pulled an all-nighter last night, you tasted death. What does that taste like? Is that a literal taste? Or is that a metaphorical taste? Or just an energetic taste? So what happens when you sleep? When you sleep, your soul, listen, on a 1% level, your sleep, your body's just, you're semi-conscious and you're in your head, and your head plays movies for you, what we call dreams. All these wearable technologies, like your Apple Watch will do this, but there's other wearable technology will measure the levels of sleep you have at night based on heart rhythm and body temperature, I guess. I don't know, but it's certainly based on heart rhythm. When you're in deep sleep, when you're in core sleep, when you're in REM sleep, and when you're awake. I mean, all the data is there now. It's really remarkable. So what do you mean what happens when you're asleep? That's what happens. You go through different levels of sleep. Well, Kabbalistically, what happens is your soul ascends to the world on high. And that's what the Zohar means by placing a deposit in the hands of the Creator. We're giving our soul to the Creator, and we hope it comes back. Your soul goes to the upper realm, and it might be influenced by positive entities or negative entities. Positive entities will try and send you messages to assist you on your soul's journey. Negative entities will try and trip you up. Yes, Roshan.
So we're talking about, for example, the prayers that we say for the bedtime tomorrow. That all
So
say
one
that.
of the things that we do to enhance the likelihood our soul comes back is there are specific prayers. It's called Kriyat Shema Alamita. It's like the Shema prayer we say, and there's a bunch of prayers built around it before we go to sleep. And there are several opportunities that we have within those prayers to connect to energy that assists us while we're asleep. So there are different consciousnesses that are there. One of them is we actually establish a connection to the soul, so we know the soul can find its way back. Another one is we ask for assistance in work on our soul's purpose, on our journey. Another one is, hey, this one I always kind of focus in on. Hey, if I finish my journey today, give me something else to do so I can come back. There's another one, which is, please help my soul go to the places and get the information that I need to help me on my soul's journey. So what's happening when we go to sleep is we want to have a conscious, hey, Creator, I'm putting my soul back in your hands. I hope it comes back in the morning. Who's saying that? Who says, I don't mean like, are you saying it or not? I don't mean to say that. I mean like, what if I'm asking the Creator to bring my soul back, then is it my soul saying that? Yes, Peter, I see your hand up.
I'll just get it started. The answer is both our body and our soul says.
Think about it for a second. Your soul wouldn't ask to please return me. I'm saying, please return my soul. I mean, the line is, into your hand I commit my spirit. Who's the I there? Because the spirit is what I'm committing. If the soul were saying it, the soul would say, hey, I'm coming to visit, please help me get back. It would sound
Are
different.
we-
Yes, David.
Can I ask, are we dealing with different levels of soul here? You know what I mean? Is Nefesh saying, please return, the higher levels of soul, maybe? Or
Yes,
no?
so yeah, clearly, and by the way, the word here is ruach. It's ruchi, my ruach. Ruach literally means wind, but it is an aspect of soul. So there are varying degrees of soul. But what I want you to think about also is there are also varying degrees of consciousness. And so one of the opportunities we have here is to really take a step back. And we talked about this before, and be the observer of self. Like I can see myself having a conversation, doing things, or I can observe. I mean, I can be engaged in it, or I can observe myself being engaged in it. I mean, you have the ability to take your consciousness one notch above, one level above, and watch yourself as you go through your day. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? There's reasons why we showed up and reacted in the way we did. And the ability to take a step back and view that from afar gives us important perspective about how we're showing up. Yes, Peter.
So what you made me think about, we had the benefit of doing this paragraph before. So I had a chance to think deeper. So you had me think about, we've shared this before with other sections. And for those people that have meditated before, done sitting meditation, I related that I'd gotten to the point where, not every time, but sometimes I could literally leave my body. And when you leave your body, you physically are able to look down on yourself. So it's making me think there's a moment of consciousness, right? I'm there, I was aware of it. I'm not doing it while I sleep. So I'm trying to think about what's the takeaway relative to what we're talking about now? Because when you do that in that state, you are very aware that you're not in your body, right? You literally, that's the sense you have. So I ask as a question, I'm not sure what the answer is, right? So was that in my body consciousness or was that in my soul consciousness?
While you were meditating?
Yeah, watching myself from above.
I mean, what's consciousness? I assumed when people were asking what consciousness was, because that's a big question that comes up, that science actually had an answer. It's like one of the things they don't ever talk about. They don't know what consciousness is. It's all we talk about. Literally, the Rav said, it's all consciousness. That's the only thing that matters. We grew up, there were like, 5 channels on TV. Now there's, innumerable, especially now with streaming. There's like unlimited channels. You think your consciousness is any different? Yet we get stuck in these like ruts. We get stuck like in a little like repeating pattern. Part of what we need to do is be able to take a step back and see, I keep reacting the same way. Why am I doing that? Like, we have the ability to take a step back and look at not just our actions, our thought process, our mindsets. That's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If we want different outcomes, we need to do things differently. So another one of the immediate benefits of this section is giving us the ability to step back, see things differently, so we can show up differently, so we can show up and receive a different outcome. However, at a certain level, when we go to sleep, our soul is going, and that's really, our soul is going up there. What's more real? This or the dream that you experience?
What is
Julie,
real?
hands up.
Depends on the time of the dream.
Okay, well, yeah, not every dream is real. That's true. That's why I'm saying, that's why like getting a dream interpretation sometimes is really important. I had this conversation with someone who's a student who was sharing something about a dream. Someone came, he said that he had a dream with his father. And I said, your dad came to visit you. Like, that's when someone shows up in a dream, someone they're visiting you. Sometimes they may just be showing up. Sometimes they're showing because they want to deliver a message. Like, that's not a free ticket for them. They have to use points for that. Julie, I see your hands up.
Yeah, sorry, what verse number are we on?
We're in verse 41.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So even within dreams, there's levels of consciousness that are going on and levels of connection that are being made. And sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. It's a whole other realm. I mean, arguably, it's more real. Because to the degree that it is real, to the degree that it's a positive experience, we're getting insight that it's much more difficult for us to get in our lifetime, in our waking state. But, and this is the point I want to drive home, you're getting messages in your waking state. You're getting messages all the time. And one of the things that's been coming up for me in the desert this week is that when I get a feeling to do something, when I get a feeling that I need to do something where I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, I'm not doing that. I'm getting a message. I'm getting guidance. And so one of the things we really want to do is attune ourselves to the messages that our guides are giving us. Okay, let's finish this section out, David. Go ahead.
Okay. What is the reason? Because this tree causes this. Malchut that reigns alone, without Zeranpin, gives rise to this, since Malchut is called night.
Malchut is called night. Why is Malchut? This is Rabbi Schlag pointing that out to us. Why is Malchut called night? I mean, we're in Malchut right now. It's daytime. Because
there's, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because there's no light of its own.
That's exactly right. Malchut has no light of its own. The light that we experience in Malchut is coming from Zeranpin. And the metaphor that we use, and it's more than a metaphor, the moon has no light of its own. The moon is Malchut. When you're walking outside, it's a full moon, and you're walking in the moonlight, you're not walking in the moonlight. There's no such thing as moonlight. That's reflected sunlight. I can't look at the sun. Physically, you'll burn your eyes. You'll go blind. You can't look at the sun, but I can look at the moon. So the moon provides me with an aspect of sunlight that I could see in a safe way, right? I can't experience the light of the Creator without filters. That's the sun. I experience the light of the Creator as it makes its way into my realm in a safe way. And we know it's 10 realms, it's 10 filters, essentially. It's the 10 sfirot. That's how the light arrives in our physical realm of Malchut. And it's coming in a protective way, a protected way. So it's not too much for us. By the same token, your senses are filters. We look at them as like our windows to the world, and they are, but they're also filters. They only let in enough information that our brain can process. There is more information out there, but we just can't handle it. But we want to be able to perceive more, because the more we can perceive, the better decisions we can make to avoid the chaos that we're often confronted with, or to navigate the chaos that we're dealing with, or to find a workaround, or to find a path towards healing, or a path towards protection, or a path towards soulmate energy. All the things, all the places in our life where we experience lack, we want to find the path to fulfillment. And so the more we see spiritually, the more we perceive, the more fulfillment we can channel for us and the people and the world around us. Let's take one more. 42. Uvanash ba'ilekdama ulamidkad bidei nafshe befikdona kefikdona debanash diyahi pikdona lachara da'ap al-gav diyu itchayav legabe yatir meharu pikdona lav kadai le'it achada be ho'il ufikdona it masar legabe v'iyasarev be vadai nu nivduk avatre delav mizar akadishahu delav mibnei mehamanuta. David?
And a person should take precautions and entrust his soul in his hand for deposit.
Okay, so that's what happened tonight. We are trusting our soul. We're depositing our soul into the hands of the Creator. Go ahead.
This is as a man provides another man with a deposit. That is a pledge.
That's like the guarantor. It's a pledge. It's the same transaction. Just like I go in the water, I'm going to leave you with my cell phone. Go ahead.
Even if he owes more than the value of the security, it is not worthy for him to be involved in a conflict with him, since he gave a deposit.
Okay,
However,
so
if he
here's the
refuses
thing.
to give him a deposit,
Here's the thing. We place our soul in the hands of the Creator, and we ask for its return in the morning. When the Zohar is saying, what does it mean even if we owe more? We owe a lot to the Creator. We don't necessarily deserve our soul to come back. We don't necessarily deserve it. We're asking for it. And so, again, what this awakens within us is just some kind of humility. We don't deserve it. That's the way we want to approach this transaction. While we might deserve it, we're still asking for it. Keep going.
however, if he refuses to give him a deposit, we should certainly examine him, because he is not from the holy seed or from the faithful.
So this is an elevated consciousness to view sleep as we are depositing our soul with the Creator. I mean, it looks like we have to scrutinize people. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of understanding that this is an elevated consciousness and something that we have to work towards understanding, because it's not our nature to think about life in that way. Again, it's another example of us rising above our nature to see a deeper reality. So what we're also getting out of this whole section is not only insights into our waking state and our sleep state, levels of consciousness that we have within, our ability to be an observer of what's going on, to take a step back and to see things from a different perspective, making a distinction between body consciousness and soul consciousness, making a distinction between our desire to see of self and a desire to see for the sake of sharing. But also this idea that when we have an elevated consciousness, we also have an ability to see more, to see deeper, to make better decisions, to channel more light into the world, to channel more healing into the world, and to channel more protection into the world. Okay, everybody, we're out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you all. Shabbat
Thank you.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Good to see
Thank
you all.
you.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Siki. Oh, how do I turn this off?